Hello, for gaming community and Beyblade community as a whole. We're here today for another podcast episode. It's just myself and Crisis today. Just an open discussion to talk about Beyblade. So yesterday we had both of us hosted our circuit events. I had one in Raleigh, North Carolina. He had one in Forestville, Maryland.
Yeah, Forestville.
Forestville, Maryland. So we're going to be talking about that, some of the new releases, a little bit of the metagame that's been going on. Possibly, yeah, some Team Palooza, what's going on with that, some WBO life and Beyblade in general. So thank you all for listening and continue to support the channel. Like and subscribe if you haven't already to the channel as well as the Crisis Crushers YouTube. All our links and descriptions are below for the store, for our YouTube channels, Instagrams, all social media platforms. All right. So yeah, man, I know you told me how you been, but yeah, how have you been overall?
I'm
Good. You
pretty
just
good. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, just a lot of work.
yeah, same,
So
same. The spreadsheet.
yeah,
You just
yeah,
finished the spreadsheet, man. How do you
yeah.
feel? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How you feel about like the spreadsheets, like when we do them for for these tournaments and things like that? Do you think like we put it's too much information? I guess we need to know what they have to do on the back end, but
Yeah, like I don't know what all it is they do on the back end, but I guess I guess the only real reason for the spreadsheets is in case there's a mistake, like
yeah,
in the challenge, like if you accidentally put down the wrong person as the winner and you go through like half of the tournament from there, you can't really go back and change it.
yeah,
So I guess that's why the spreadsheet is there, so you can have the notes to fix that. But like, I don't know, in a weird way, if you're hosting an event, I feel like you should be able to control what's going on in that aspect. I mean, I've had it, happen once or twice, and that was partially on my fault for having other people be able to um, give the results into the challenge. But I ended up resolving that issue by just not ever letting them judge again or anything.
yeah. I feel like I feel like in that regard though, like if it messes up in challenge, like that messes up the entirety of the bracket, regardless. Um, for wins or losses. Unless the only way it wouldn't affect it is with round robin, but that could be a quick fix. But
Yeah,
I like they probably use it for other purposes. I could see it too for being like people looking at it to verify that their matches were input correctly. I saw something, I can't remember who it was. Someone was saying that what were they saying? They were offering spreadsheet services. Um, I can't remember who that was. Did you see that post? Someone was offering to pay them and they'll do
no,
your tournament reports. I mean, tournament spreadsheets.
no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. I feel like it was either someone from Maryland or Ohio. Um, I can't remember, but yeah. So how the event go yesterday?
I mean, it was for some reason yesterday. Just it felt like it was not really a good day for Beyblade. Like you got there and for our area, a lot of the normal players that show up weren't really there. Like we didn't
Yeah,
have PSO, we didn't have Yami, we didn't have Red Ninja. There was no LJ Blader, Mama Bay. Like a lot of people that just weren't there, and it just felt awkward because half the people that you can trust to judge aren't there. So then you had to get other people to judge as well, and you're like, oh god, I'm going to get asked, 1,000 times if their call was correct or not, and have to review so many opposite spin footages over and over again.
hmm
So it was just one of those weird days, and like I had to rush to get there because my work schedule changed. So then I don't get there till like 11:40. So then I've got 20 minutes to actually set up and get everything going. And by that time, like I just had this massive headache and I was hungry because I didn't eat anything beforehand. It was just one of those days, man.
yeah, yeah. I hear you. I didn't eat. I didn't eat at all yesterday. I tried to eat before the tournament. Um, I got to Raleigh around 11 o'clock, and that's like fast food places. That's when they typically start lunch on the weekends. So I was trying to get some lunch, but they were switching over, and it was just taking forever. So I was like, I just need to go ahead and get to the venue. Um, because we sat in line in the same spot for about 10 minutes, and I was like, I can't be late, so I didn't eat. I didn't eat until after the event, but I was overall good. Like I drank water, but it's typically like that for me on tournament days, just from the way things are going. Um, but how was, I guess, to say the meta? Like some people had the new release out already, right? How was is it? Go ahead.
One person had the new releases, and that was Lowski, I believe his name is,
Hmm.
and he had went to Nightwing's like little social events that Nightwing tries to have on Saturdays for teaching newer bladers how to Beyblade and stuff. Um, he unfortunately it's just too far of a drive for me to make every week to go there. Otherwise, I would.
Yeah.
Uh, but like apparently Lowski was there the night before, and Jace, and he had like I'm guessing 3 copies of the new set,
Hmm.
and JC, Make 'em Burst, and Nightwing were each able to get a bearing drift off of him.
Yeah.
And I will say this much here: that driver is bananas.
Is it okay?
Like,
Yeah, I need details on that. I saw his post on it.
I mean, just like those two, they got first and second with that part in their deck, and it
Hmm.
was actually a hard part to try to counter. Like, it's got super good same spin, and then because it's similar to drift, it's got super good opposite spin. The only thing that really hurts it is it's a little more susceptible to KOs than regular bearing,
Yeah.
but it's like it's so weird because there's only one of that part. So if you run an attack type worried about running into that part, but you never run into that part, you could run into regular bearing, which has better defense, than bearing drift for the KO. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, ugh, what do I do?
Are you talking in terms of like 3v3 or deck?
3v3. That's how that like 3v3 you can't predict it. So like it just that makes it hard. Like if the only real counter to it is an attack type, that just makes it hard. Like it's a part that you would just use in 3v3 all day. In deck, I guess you can kind of counter it, but you have to run the attack for it, or you just have to. I mean, like I saw some same spin bearing beat bearing drift today yesterday,
Mhm.
but like it wasn't often, so that's just probably coming down to blader launch style and how hard they can rip and stuff like that.
How was it doing? Was it like smashing high extend plus also?
I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, it was had better LEDs than high extent plus.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Dang. Yeah. Well, it's about to be. I mean, it released on Saturday. I know a few people have it. We just got it in today. We're gonna start shipping them out. I'm at work right now, but we'll start shipping them out soon. And yeah, so everyone will have it, especially people. So, can you explain to me, and I guess any other listeners, because I have not been following this new release. I know it is smart to get 2 sets, because of the various combinations you can make. But what are the various combinations you can make with this set? What makes this set so special?
okay, so obviously, if you buy one set, each part. So you have King MR and Super MR. The MR stands for metal and rubber. So half of the Beyblade on one half of the Beyblade is metal, on the other half it has rubber on the outside of it, and basically you can take them apart and put them together, kind of like the what were those things called? Oh my god, I can't remember their names.
Like the left and right. I think they were Aphelios or something, or like Apollo or something like that.
Archimedes or something? Armistice?
Uh, Armaterios. I think Armaterios was his own bay, but I think it was like
Yeah,
Apollo and something else. But I know what you're
yeah.
talking about.
So it's basically them. So you can take them apart and combine them, so you can make it to where you have like Super King MR, Super King R like rubber, Super King metal. But if you get two, you can actually take the same parts from the same one and put them together. So then you can have super metal metal, and it's just one thing, and so it's balanced out that way better. Or super rubber rubber.
So essentially,
And
you
then,
can run if you get two of these, you can run because it's not. I don't know if the WBO has looked at this, but they will be all different parts, right? All different bays. Like you can get two sets, and you could run a full deck of just these
well,
bays.
because the rules say you can't use the same part
Hmm.
more than once.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes
But like in a weird way, that makes it like if you do Super RR, technically you're using the same part twice
yeah,
because you're using Super R and Super R together.
yeah,
But I can see where it can also be an exception.
yeah. I can see that part being an exception for it. Yeah, because I was thinking of the super rubber rubber, and then super metal metal, and then super rubber and metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another key thing to point out about these is no matter what combination you do, so you can do super rubber rubber and it's dual spin.
Mm,
So the
yeah.
contact points, even though they're going the direction for right, you can make them go left.
Makes it a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, and it gives them like bigger hitting contact points.
100%.
So it's a really interesting set. And fun fact, because of this set now, WBBA has updated their rules.
What's it saying now? I think I
So
saw someone posted, but go ahead.
basically, WBBA had this rule where you could only have one layer and only one chip that could go dual spin, left or right. So
Hmm.
like if I use the Achilles chip in Vanish, it didn't. I couldn't use another dual spin chip anywhere in my deck. If I
Hmm.
use the World Ring, I couldn't use another dual spin ring anywhere in my deck.
Yeah.
Now they've updated it to where you can only use you can use all of them. Like you can mix them all around and whatnot, but you can only have one Beyblade that has the actual potential to change rotation. So
Mm,
so basically now if I wanted, I can have World Diabolos in my deck, and obviously that Beyblade can change rotations because both the chip and the blade can change their rotation. But then I
hmm.
can use the Achilles chip in the deck as well on like Vanish.
Okay.
Or I can also at the same time use the Astral Layer with like the Perseus chip because it can't both cannot change. With both being together, the Beyblade will not be able to change its rotation.
Yeah. So you can have more than one chip, but you can't have more than one rotating layer.
No, you can, but you can't put a rotating changing chip in more than one rotating changing layer.
Okay. So you can only have one Beyblade that is possible to change rotation.
Yes. So
Okay.
like if you though decided to use something like Chosy Spriggan, you can't put like even if you're like I'm only going to use this in one direction, it doesn't matter because it potentially can change rotation. You can't mix chips and layers together.
Yeah. And I could see that because even when I was trying to do the thing with the FGC and when I was looking at that rule, it's extremely difficult for the judge to try to keep track of that. Like, hey,
Yeah,
did this person on this shuffle, what Beyblade did they do, this and that? You can go back and look at videos, but then it's like, it's a waste of time and it's more stress on the judges to be like,
yeah,
hey, tell me which one you are only changing. Because I'll be honest, even when people tell me the order that they have in their Beyblades, I'll either take a picture or try to take a mental note. Because I can't remember the order of their Beyblades if they don't have a box. Um, so I know it'd be even tougher to think about like which one is rotating, which one isn't, blah blah blah. Yeah,
right.
yeah. But it is dope. We were talking about something yesterday. They were talking about. I guess we could. jump onto the meta because some people were saying that yesterday. I don't necessarily feel like they were saying the meta was stale, but they were like hoping this new release would shake up the meta. But as far as I feel like, as far as the meta is going, um, I feel like it's already shaken up. Like it's not only even without this new release, I feel like it's not only Dynamite and Vanish. Like true, it I mean it is. It's still there, it's still viable. But with Xiphoid and Guilty and also the combinations, I guess a lot of the combinations I saw yesterday, and I would say Wind, like y'all were talking about. Wind,
Yeah.
yeah, yesterday was the first time I saw it in a tournament. That layer is it's ridiculous. I can't remember if y'all had mentioned it, but what I saw and the biggest problem I saw with it, not a problem, but why it was so great, because it works as attack to where it can KO you, but it's not like recoil. It just kind of like just pushes you out because it's so big.
Yeah.
And as far as stamina goes, like when it's in the center, it's in the center. Like you can't really get under it because it's so low. And the way that it takes, it's not sharing the center with anything. It that little dip in the middle of the stadium, the ring itself like covers all of that, you know? So it's not like standing up to where it's like, oh, we could share this and that. Like, no, it's there and it's there to stay. Um, which I ran into. I made it to finals. Um, and I ended up getting second place and I was I was honestly testing against it because it was the first match that I really had to really test against it, but I ended up getting washed, man. I got washed 5-0. This kid, he had some great combos. He was a new kid. Um, he was running, I can't remember what disc he had. I think he had illegal. I think it was wind. It might have been like I could be lying, but I think it was like wind Achilles or something like that on illegal with zone dash plus Z. And he was running that, and then he had a roar combo with over and high extend plus. And he had another combo, I can't remember what it was. I did have a combo that I wanted to use, but I was trying to save it, which I shouldn't have did. It was just stupid on my part. Because I did have my guilty combo that I probably should have ran earlier, guilty on exceed plus Z, but I didn't, and I got 5-0. Shout out to him. He came in and he wrecked, and that's I want to shout out that too for with the circuit. I love when new players come and they do so well in a tournament and like they shake up and beat the meta because I feel like a lot of us that play a lot, like we get caught up in the meta and we just do what we know is good or what we feel is good, and then you have new players who come in who have been practicing by themselves or really focus on the combos that they have and they go to their first tournament and they don't really care about the meta at all. Like they don't think about it and things like that. They just go in there and they end up doing really, really well. And it's also like something for us to see for some combinations that we haven't even thought of um that are great. And he definitely performed and did that yesterday. And his launch style was incredible also. His name was Beyblade BU. I shot him out. He did exceptionally well. But yeah, the wind, it was it was phenomenal yesterday. I know I had to get that layer. It made Dynamite my Dynamite F Perseus. Um, it didn't really stand a chance, and with that at all, man. Yeah,
See, it was weird because the couple times my Dynamite went against Wind, and it was like the bearing mirror match. Like I was winning.
yeah. I think it's what was Win going? What was Win on?
I think overbearing,
Yeah. So he
and
had
I'm
zone
on
dash. Go ahead.
and I'm on tapered bearing.
Yeah, he had that zone dash plus Z, and I don't know if it was better or worse, and also his launch style, but I don't know. I know there's a lot of factors because we do talk about the meta, but launch style is so important. Because yeah, I didn't win against it. I can't remember if I know I battled another wind, but I can't remember who it was or the outcome of that battle. Um, but I know he did exceptionally well. Um, and I think yeah, it's like I said, I love when the new players come out and just dominate because it shows like there's some hidden skill out there that's outside of the WBO that We still need to get out there and have tournaments to draw some of these people out and just really see like who's legit because we all have our regions and but it tends to be the same 10 players or so from each region that come out and sometimes it's not even that many and then you get um, a new player that comes out and just turns up, shake things up, and I love to see that yesterday. Um, are you using Wind?
Yeah, I'm using Win.
Nice. So what is
I
your wait? I think Blast he was there yesterday. I think he was running your deck.
He might have. I know he was trying. We have a group chat with him, and he was trying to figure out what my combos were because I wasn't responding. I was in the middle of driving and setting up. I just didn't have time to respond.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but was he for open round for the first stage? My deck is generally Dynamite Perseus, Vanish Longinus, and then I was using Wind Dragon. Um, that's generally what I've been doing, and there's two bearings and a high stand plus in the deck just because it's safe. I mean, I
Yeah.
did lose. I did lose to shout out to this guy Bears for the win. He comes to every one of our tournaments and he runs nothing but attack.
Nice. Nice. His name Bears for the win, like Chicago
Yeah,
Bears.
I guess.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
he runs almost nothing but attack, and I lost to him round two. And then my other loss was JC Makem Burst.
Hmm.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
he KO'd my win both times. Wind went against him, and
Mm.
that hurt.
Yeah. Wind is
But
go ahead.
thinking about it now, though, I think it was where I placed my launch when I think about it. So I'll have to
Yeah.
try something different next time.
Yeah, it's all in the strategy. We learn and we grow. There was a kid, and I want to shout him out too. I posted him on Instagram. Pink Skulls. He was at Dark Continent. I think he was running. I think at Dark Continent he ran triple attack, but yesterday he ran. He had double attack. He had an extreme, and then he had a quick, and he was running Guilty and Zyphoid, and he made it into the top eight. And he was my first match in top eight, and he had me nervous. I think the score got it. It was either 4-4 or 4-3, but he did really well. He's one of he's I like I said, like I've met a lot of attack players, and attack is quite difficult. He was consistent every time. He never KO'd himself into the pocket. He was always getting good KOs on me. Only reason why I was able to beat him, is because I was able to see like as far as his strategy. Uh, so if I would have to go opposite spin whenever he do an attack. That way I could try to spin still, and it wouldn't be as bad recoil because he was catching me. His my Dynamite Perseus, which I say is my best combo, he was crushing it with Zyphoid. So I
Yeah.
didn't stand a chance. But I love to see that. He's a new player too. I think this was his second tournament. He did really good. I want to shout out Blast also, mainly because Blast, like, I don't know if you've seen, you probably have because you've been playing as long as me, like with the younger kids and growing up, like I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
Just
you see how they evolve.
yeah, because I remember when I first met him, he was young. It was actually at Showdown in VA, when I met all of y'all and we played. And I saw him yesterday. He's getting taller. He slimmed down. I was thinking about him, and I remember LJ Blader too. LJ Blader's got like facial hair and stuff now, so it's yeah, it's wild. Like it's not wild, but everyone's growing up, and the community from we're all from different parts of the U.S. and to see these kids as they mature and they grow, like voice getting deeper and stuff like that. Like you see them when they were young with the Beyblades, and now they're young man, and it's really cool. He was really being very helpful yesterday. A lot of people didn't have parts, and I usually bring spares, but he had that box that you gave him. So I
Yeah,
will I'll let people borrow stuff, but he was actually like helping people who had some fake parts, like helping them build combos and actually giving them legit parts to help them out. And I really like that. And yeah, so shout out to him for that, for helping so much. And thank you too for hooking him up with that box.
no problem.
Um
Good job, Blast. I'm proud of you, buddy.
yeah, yeah. So
I I remember the
Go.
first time I met Blast. It was at the 2 days later tournament hosted by Frost in Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
and I won that tournament. And the best prize there was a Lucifer the End for a drift. And he was
Mm-hmm.
so upset because that was the whole thing he wanted. And even
Yeah.
though I won it, I gave it to him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then he pulled the special disc.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he got the special disc out of it.
Oh yeah, I know he was hype. Yeah, I know he was hype. Yeah, he's a great kid. Like it's nice to see all these kids growing up. I think CSC Raymond was showdown in VA too, and he's growing up. He shot up, man. I swear he grew like 2 feet over the summer. And but yeah, like it's great to see just the community growing, and it's nice, man. What was I
Yeah.
gonna speak on? Yesterday, our event went really well, and like I was saying, as far as the meta goes, like I really think it's evolving. I think by the time not BU, but whatever next generation comes out, like having Dark Continent next year, I feel like there will be so many various parts and variations because even right now, I will say that the Dynamite Perseus combo is still viable. Um, but I think in a couple months' time, it may phase out a little bit.
That's
Um,
possible.
yeah, I really do. Um, honestly, I don't feel like Vanish is even as OP as it once was. That may just be me though, because I use that combo like I use it in my 3v3, but when it comes to like deck, it's typically my last choice, and I made that mistake yesterday. But it is what it is because I used it, but I would rather use my Guilty and my Perseus combo than Vanish. But that's just me. How you feel about Vanish? You still feel like it's up there? Is it doing well up there?
So for me, Vanish is really weird. Like I love Vanish. I like the standard combo with it. It's still probably the best left spin stamina layer. But here's the issue. We're getting so many good right spin stamina layers that you're inevitably gonna run into one with your Vanish. So then you're just sitting there for an opposite spin match the entire time.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's the problem with the meta where you get into that problem. Because
yeah,
now, a lot of times, if you run Vanish, at least one of your matches is probably Vanish against Dynamite or Vanish against Wind, and you're just going to sit there and wait for the outspin. You'll probably get a draw somewhere. You'll then have to relaunch and do it all over again, and either hope you don't get a draw and you get the win, or another draw happens and you move on.
yeah,
Like, and that's the problem because we're only playing a 3v3 format. Now let's wrap our minds around this. What if we changed it to 5G like WBBA?
yeah,
Like really think about that. Like how much is it like you could spread your combos out, but then it's like you have to think more. Well, what is it? What do I think this guy's gonna run? Would I be better throwing an attacker in the front? Because you have 2 extra spots now. You're not just gonna run 3 stamina combos probably because you don't have enough stamina parts that are gonna do it. I mean, you could do double drift or not double drift. You could do bearing drift, bearing, and high extend plus. And I mean, then after that, what do you really have?
yeah,
I mean, Zone Z, but Zone Z is meh.
yeah. What? Shoot, that I mean, that's what I was saying yesterday. Because like Zone Z, and that's I think that's the consensus. Like for most of us that play, like, oh, it is inconsistent or it's not that nice, but it did work yesterday. It did a lot of work on wind. Um, and I don't know if maybe that's a layer that can help control it a little bit more, or maybe just that he had a newer one because I know when mine's wears out, it starts acting really erratic. But after I
Right.
played with him yesterday, I was thinking of some combos that I can use because I use Exceed um plus Z and I was winning not off of KOs. I was winning from opposite spin stamina matches,
Right.
which doesn't sound right. You know, I have the rubber tip, but the Z helps it, gives that a little bit of push, and then the way that the blade is shaped on Guilty. I don't know if I said Vanish or Guilty, but the way that the blades are shaped on Guilty, it gets pushed a little bit more on the opposite spin. So I won majority of my Guilty matches wasn't KOs. I don't think even I got a KO. I think they were all just like stamina wins, and I was even surprised with that.
Do,
So it may be a driver that we have to look back into with these new releases.
do you know offhand if his Z chip was Hasbro or Takara Tomy?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's the Cartoon because Hasbro's is a different color, right?
Hasbro's is silver.
Yeah,
So
it
if you
wasn't
had
that. He had a blue one. He had a blue
okay,
one.
okay,
Yeah, if I'm
so,
not
so
mistaken, I'm gonna double check and look. But
okay. So this is the thing, and it's the same thing that even Geetster has said when we've talked with him. When Burst finally completely ends and they stop giving releases, depending on how long of a hiatus type thing we have, that is the point in time when people are going to try different combos and different things, and you're going to find combos that you never would have thought of throughout the time when meta is constantly being thrown, like new parts are being thrown at us.
mhm.
That's when you're going to find those parts that's like, wow, this just really works together for whatever reason, and I never would have thought of it beforehand.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's just it. Like, yeah, maybe this guy being new, maybe Win with Zone Z is actually really insane.
yeah. It
You
worked
know,
insane yesterday. Yeah.
right? It's like when Geetzer explained to me that most people never really use the 230 what is it, spin track. Most people didn't use the 230 spin track with what is it, Flame? I think it's Flame from Flame Sagittario.
Mhm.
Most people didn't never use that, and one person after Metal Fight was completely done just figured it out
Yeah,
and realized it was really good.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, same thing can happen. I mean, it's just, and same thing will happen. To be honest, people will just try different things because finally, because when you're having a new thing thrown out every month, that's anywhere between 1 to 5 brand new parts you've got to do all this different testing for. And then you
mhm,
have all these other parts that exist. There's no way you're going to be able to test each part with each thing.
mhm.
You're not going to
True.
find that perfect meld together. So right now it's just a part comes out, how well does it work with bearing? How well does it work with high extend plus? How well does it work with extreme dash?
Mhm.
That's all it is right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why people are like the meta's stale. The meta's stale because it's not solved. Like that's
yeah.
the reality. The meta for the game is not solved at all. You have to
Mm-mm.
take the time to solve it, but you can't right now because every time you turn around, something new is coming out.
Yeah, yeah. Unless we were having like a tournament, like I guess, shoot, not even every weekend, probably like twice a week, like midweek and late week, where you got consistent big turnouts and you see a whole bunch of different things. But yeah, even then, yeah, we do need, I guess, a little bit of slowing down, um, and also like newer players to come out and show us some things we haven't seen before. Because
Right.
I wasn't I was mind blown and it was great. I had fun in that battle, like because I didn't have win. I wasn't gonna. I don't. I wouldn't say like I didn't think that I needed it. But I really wanted to see what I was able to do. I wanted to battle him with my guilty, but the tournament ran kind of long, so I didn't want to hold him and his dad there. Um, but that is honestly my best performing combo right now. Um, but it was, man, I agree with what you said. We will have time to look at it and really test things. And it is like with these sets coming out, uh, we're gonna have a lot to do. This is not really a side note, but another topic. I did like the fact that Wind, it's the only random booster, and correct me if I'm wrong, the only random booster release that has something that has really been viable to competitive play that you can only get within the random booster. I don't think any of the other prize bays, I feel like they were all collectors. This is the only one that I feel like is like changing the game tremendously. Was there any others that you could think?
Layer wise,
Since we played, yeah, layer wise.
I think so. Trying to think on all. I'm trying to think all the other random boosters. So, what did we have?
I know, like, even for some reason, my mind is just going to Sparking. I know we had Achilles, we had Death Scyther. Well, Death Scyther did well
No,
too.
no, they were sparking.
Sparking, yeah, Sparking.
So
Um,
for DB, first we had Ragnarok, and the only thing that came with that was meta breaking at the time was Giga, but then Giga got 30 reprints after that.
yeah.
Then we had Bahamut. The Bahamut core was actually really good and a core you just about wanted to have.
hmm Wait, did
Roar,
it come with Roar? Was
yeah,
Roar
Roar,
with Bahamut? Okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. That
So
was
Roar
good.
was good, but Roar
It
was
wasn't.
good, but it was almost just like it was only used because it was mandatory as being another left spin layer.
Yeah, and it really
You know what I
wasn't.
mean?
Yeah, I feel like it. I think it was outperforming Vanish at the time, but was because it's like what you said. We didn't know really how to utilize Vanish to its full potential. I feel like at
Yeah,
that point. Yeah.
yeah. And then what do we have after Roar? I'm trying to think what the next random booster was. That was the after the Roar random booster, we got the like big reprint random booster, didn't we?
I think so. It's the green pack that I'm thinking of.
That was the one where like you could get everything together to get that like heavenly Belial coloration.
I think so.
And then
I think
after
so.
that was the Belial thing that did mostly like sparking reprints.
hmm
Uh, and then for this, what random booster do we have other than Moon? Did we have another random booster?
Can't remember. I know there was one that just came out because it was like random booster, Zyphoid, random booster.
What was that random
Um,
booster?
I can't remember. I feel like it was the reprint. I know I don't have.
No, it wasn't the reprint.
It wasn't. Mm, oh no, but I
So
still feel. Yeah, go ahead.
We had Divine come out, and then a random booster. What was that random booster?
hmm But I know even the fact that we can't even remember what it was, it definitely didn't have an impact like when
Or
wind
maybe it
has.
was. Maybe it wasn't. Is this random booster 30?
I want to say it maybe. I'm sorry. I own a store and I have no clue. Yeah, but I know that like wind is. I don't know. I'm blown away because I talked to y'all last time
Kerbeus.
and I was like, yeah, huh?
Kerbeus. Chain Kerbeus.
Oh yeah, Chain Cabeas. Yeah, I shoot. I probably shouldn't have said it like that, but yeah,
That's what
Cabeas.
it was. Very
Yeah.
unimpactful. That's why we forgot about it.
Yep. Yep. That's what I was saying. I was like, if we can't remember what it was probably very little to no
Surprisingly,
impact.
it came with two good parts, but the layer was not impact at all.
A
Chain
hundred
is just
percent.
Arbo.
Yeah. Carbeas was, yeah, like you said, it was legit. It was tight. It was like a right spin Bahamut.
Yeah, that's all
Um,
it is.
yeah, but yeah, like wind is something else. I like the science with it. It's I don't know. I guess I say it's like kind of magical. Just when it gets in there because it does cover up that whole bottom bowl part. And yeah, the only thing that I could really think of it is attack because it was winning in same spin, it was winning in opposite spin. Um, of course, I need to have more tournaments, but we'll see something. We're gonna see something with these newer releases because this is all attack that's coming out. Um, other than the driver. And then, do you know what's coming out next month?
Next month, that's the Spriggan.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Spriggan.
the new Spriggan, and it comes with the ultimate Valkyrie recolor.
Okay, I have yet to see a trash Spriggan release. Even if it isn't like meta breaking, it's still good.
Yeah, this one looks like it'll actually be pretty good. I just don't know. I'm curious if they're going to keep it with the flipping mechanic for rotation changing, or if they might just make this one kind of like how the what's it called? The Helios and Hyperion are, where
Hmm.
they just go the opposite direction no matter what the way the contact points are.
I tell you what, and I tell everybody this. This is a tip because it's not illegal to ask what rotation it is because when it
Yes.
comes, yeah, it's not illegal. I think before you used to not have to tell, because it wasn't in the rules to tell. But then some circumstances happen. So now if someone asks, you do have to tell them what rotation your Beyblade is spinning. And I always ask, even if I think I know, I still ask because I'm so confused. And I know Takara told me did this on purpose from World and Astral because they switched the colors. So
Yeah.
it's like I can't remember which one. Like white is one rotation and black was another one, and they switched them when they released Astral, so it's the opposite. And if you don't ask, you will confuse yourself. And those mistakes happened yesterday because some people weren't asking, and I was judging. But I'm like, I'm not gonna be giving tips and stuff like that. So, but I always ask. I'm like, what rotation is that going in? Because I need to know before I either yeet myself into the pocket or soft launch, and then you get an easier win off of the same spin stamina.
Yeah. One problem that I have seen, it's more with little kids more than anything else, but it is a problem I've seen even with some like regular participant bladers. When you say bladers reveal your combo, they'll just quickly show the layer and then just put it on their launcher.
Yeah, they won't show
And
the bottom.
I'm like, you should be holding it out. Technically, I believe, I don't know if it's in WBO. I do know in WBBA, your opponent is actually allowed to hold your Beyblade and look
Inspect
at
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's I mean, I would understand like COVID restrictions if you weren't allowed to anymore, but
Hmm.
like you should still like hold it out and give your opponent that. Like your opponent could be like, "Hey, I want a little more time to look at your combo real quick. Can you just hold it out and flip it over, then flip it back over real quick for me?"
Yeah, some of that, and I've seen it with little kids. Me, I always ask, but I try not to dictate too much with the matches. For one thing I'll see, and I think as far as the WBO rules, I know at one point, yeah, it's like you said, and then we were inspecting or we could, and then COVID happened, so it was like, we don't want to touch everybody's stuff. But I think even then it was like you disassemble it. Yeah, that's what it was because you come to the judge and you disassemble it yourself and then you put it back together after the judge sees. But like if it's a kid and a kid, honestly, I don't interfere with anyone doing it. I'll probably tell them after the match, but I know what you're saying. Like they'll show the top of their Beyblade. One of the
Right.
issues I run into is like you'll have a kid come up and then they'll just sometimes they don't even ask or look. And I don't say anything because I know more times than not, they're just happy to get up there and play. Um, what I do get on them about is, man, y'all need to hide your combos. Like I get it, like you're gonna battle all three battles, but this is for one for me, so I don't have to run into somebody um trying to look at your combos and then switch up the order they want to have theirs. But also it's a I guess the mindset of competition and strategy, to hide your combos and stuff. But yeah, a lot of kids they'll come up there, they'll show the top, but I always ask. I was like, what is that on? Or let me see the bottom, what rotation you're on, because that's not illegal and stuff like that. Because those things matter. Like if you're coming up there with a Dynamite Perseus on High Extend Plus or whatever, like that's a big difference than you coming up there with a Perseus on Revolve.
Yeah.
So and I'll know how to act accordingly. But yeah, I agree with you. Some kids, I tell them all after the battle, but sometimes it's like I don't even argue because I'll tell them like, hey, even if I'm like, hey, make sure you look or this and that, they don't care. They just want to play.
Yep.
Yeah. Have y'all had
Yep.
a Team Palooza event? since we last talked with Crab?
That's next week.
Next week?
Yeah, this Sunday coming up now.
Okay. Your team
Yep.
ready? Your team good?
Yeah, yeah. Andy was able to get off, and me and Jared are pretty much ready.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna have like a practice night Thursday where they're gonna come over and we're gonna because the meta has shifted now that wind is there, so we've got some stuff that we gotta look at and test to try to figure out what we want to do more. Like,
Okay.
because today also or yesterday also kind of showed me that there's definitely some combo changes I think I need to make.
Mm.
Um, I do need to make some changes. I just don't know exactly what changes they will be. I have a slight idea, but I'm not 100% on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think man, I think I might get Zyphoid. I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of feeling myself with attack a little bit. Like not trying to come off cocky, but I've been having more fun playing with attack than with stamina lately, man. I may incorporate Zyphoid into my deck.
You
Oh
know,
no.
it's pretty funny because I was thinking about it the other day, and you know, people really can just have a style of blading where like for me, I am not comfortable playing something that is not just stamina based. I
Hmm.
just that's what I'm comfortable with, and for some reason, because I'm comfortable with it, I enjoy it. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
so even though I'm stuck there with the 400th opposite spin battle, I'm still just like, enjoying the fact that I launched a Beyblade. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like I get more frustrated when I launch something on High Extend Plus and it decides to wig out and throw stuff out the arena.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, your stamina. What are you doing? You don't do this.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, that's true. It's great that you mentioned that because that reminded me too. And it was interesting to me when he said it, but the guy was talking about Pink Skulls that ran the double attack. He said the reason why he does it is he doesn't. It's not even like he's trying to make a point or anything. He said he's not good with stamina. I can't remember if he said a lot of his stamina matches, like mirror matches, like he was losing or whatever, but he had more success with attack. So that's what he focused on is his style of blading, and he's trying to perfect it, and
Right.
he's doing
Like
an amazing job. Yeah.
I don't think it's correct to think that the best Beyblader is someone that can use every single style. I don't think that's correct. I think
Mhm.
the best Beyblader is just like the best type of Beyblader you can be is focus on what you are good with and just maximize on it. Like
100%.
what is it? There's a saying. It's what a jack of all trades but master of none.
Master of none. Yeah.
Like when you're that type of person, if you didn't master something, then someone that did could outbeat you when you played them.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what
It
I
is.
mean?
Yeah. It is. I think it is efficient to have I think that with anything, like I said, like I did martial arts for a while, and that was one of the focuses. Like you do learn a lot of techniques, a lot of different skills. But we all have our own style of game. You could take that with anything, man. Golf, basketball, or anything. Like um, tennis, you'll have you know the rules. You know how to play. You learn the different techniques, but you also have a style that fits for you. And if you go
Yeah.
into a game, yeah, you go into a game and you're trying to play like someone else's style or trying to play some style that you just heard about and it's not working for you because it's um martial arts is one of the things that I could relate to the most because I did it the longest. Like we all have way different body types. We all have way different flexibilities, way different strengths, speeds, etc. So you have to cater to I guess your strengths, and acknowledge your weaknesses and try to correct any deficiencies you may have, but definitely like play your own game. And I'm seeing that more and more in Beyblade. And I am I'm not saying I'm adapting to attack or anything like that. It's just something that is new and it was a little bit more challenging, but I'm kind of I guess feeling the more excited to take that challenge on, especially with the success I have been having with my guilty combo, even though I've been winning with opposite spin, the launch and everything like that, it's making the game more fun for me and it's inviting in that way. So I have
Right.
I don't have Zyphoid. I do have a Zyphoid um at home. It's boxed up. It's actually from one of the random boosters. I may I may start, Mike. I may get it because I've been enjoying this attack game. I
I
just gotta see.
I have an extra one that I don't need from the random
Cyphoid?
booster. Yeah.
I may hit. It's a black one.
Yeah.
What core do you use? Corbeus will probably be the best core for the tightness because it does
Um
it burst easy.
I haven't really seen it burst easy. I personally just use the what is it? God, I use either the Excalibur, the Perseus, or the Belial 2 with it. Those are the three that I have used with it more than any other.
Okay, yeah. Excalius, Perseus, or Belial too. Yeah, I'll check it out. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be testing that once I get home. We have another tournament. I think it's in Georgia. Um, and I'll do that. I want to come back up to Maryland. I think it's at some point in time. I know we will to compete with that scene. It's great to test against all the different
Just
areas.
just just tell me a date that you can make it up here, and I'll host a tournament for that date.
I appreciate it, man. I want to. This is something I want to do, and you don't have to do it. I was actually thinking about doing it myself because Blast was even asking about that pick three, choose one. I think I might go up there and try to host one.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
Give you a break also from
Break.
hosting.
What I honestly want to do, I really want to. I want to host a unranked tournament that is burst standard, but all the rules are WBBA rules. I want to try out the WBBA 5G based on their rules, where KOs are worth 2 points and everything like that. The only thing that I'll keep is I'll keep us using the standard stadium instead of using the DB.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
just
ask about that.
see how it turns out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I want to see how it turns out, how people feel about it, all that kind of stuff. Like, because I kind of am really starting to think that the WBBA 5G format is probably like one of the best formats for this game in general.
I could see it for as far as I think I'm always say I love deck because I always feel like it's the most strategic with 5G. I think some of my concerns with it is that it will become more like what Geester was saying about you not having an opportunity to really gauge your opponent's launch or anything like that. Because if we're going to 3 points with 5G, there will be no reshuffle. You better have your first five on point.
I mean,
Um,
there can be a reshuffle. It's just a pain. It's just not often.
yeah, you'll have to draw.
You
That's
have to draw
yeah,
once, and then you each get 1 point each or 2 points each through the
yeah,
other
two
four.
points each. And then it's like, oh my God, then it's a stress game and turns into pick five, choose
But
one.
at the same
Yeah.
time too, it makes it more interesting because say there's people crowding around and watching your match. Well,
Hmm.
we're only going to 3 points. Say I get a KO on the first one, and then the next one I get a stamina finish. Cool, I got 3 points. I won. No one else there saw my next 3 Beyblades. So
Yeah.
when I come up and I put it in whatever order I want, they might not even know what my Beyblade is going to be.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
they could even have the general idea of, okay, well, he was using this and this, but now it's like you couldn't even possibly try to predict where one of them will be.
Hmm. I
So
can I can say and I agree. I think by it is especially by the end of the system or burst season, because another thing I think we had talked about it before is stretching out those parts because it's easy to come up with three, and
mhm.
it was harder to come out with five because you got to pull some stuff out of the attic,
You know
or out of the basement. But I feel
that's
like now Go ahead.
That's still one of the reasons why I partially would rather see the driver variant rule.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
then you get more creative.
yeah. I was so I had two things. One, I feel like now with the immense amount of parts, like even I'm trying to think of even five drivers. So I am going to say that what is it? Is it called drift bearing?
Bearing drift.
Yeah, bearing drift, and then you have drift, you have bearing, you have high extend plus, and then you can go with the numerous attacks. Like you can have, you even if you had the drive it variant rule, you there's a enough meta parts like extreme, quick, exceed, zone dash plus Z, like all those things, like they're accessible to
Right.
us now, and I feel like we're playing them. The other thing I was thinking, because I do agree in terms of some bands, I feel like with the new system coming out that the game is still going to be fun and exciting. But I would like to see, and I've said this before, but just ban of certain parts and just for a season, not for the entirety. Like, but then again, I guess like I've been shut up with that because I don't see a lot of double drifts. Like that was a thing. I saw double drift yesterday in finals, but they didn't make finals. I mean,
I saw
they didn't go ahead.
I saw triple drift yesterday.
Oh yeah.
It won.
Yeah, I did see that, but it didn't there was two players that ran double drift. It was really Fireblader '07. He ran double drift. And then his opponent ended up going double drift against him. But I think those were the only two players that had double drift, and they made it into the top four. So I think they came in third and fourth. But they ended up getting outspun. Like the Beyblade BU, he was outspinning him on opposite rotation. I need to ask about that match because I don't know if he did it with the zone dash plus Z or with his high extend plus because that's how I do it with high extend plus. Um, but it wasn't as big of a it's not appearing as big of a factor um as we thought it would have been. I think when it first came out it was because it was a concern and people weren't being able to counter it, but now it's like it's no big deal.
It's probably not a big issue, but at the same time, I can see where potentially down the line it is.
Yeah.
You know what I
And what
mean? And
and
then
what
and then one of my questions is bearing drift. What do
yeah,
you consider that part? Do you consider it bearing? Do you consider it drift? Do you consider it a part on its own?
yeah. I see it as on its own.
Because
Um
it has the body of drift and the tip of bearing.
yeah. I would
So
see I would see that one as its own. As weird as it is, and I definitely I definitely want to go against that. Yeah, I saw Nightwing. Shout out to Nightwing for winning yesterday. I saw his combo. He had drift, metal drift, and bearing drift, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Um, the only thing I could think to counter that, unless you got the first point. If you got the first point, you're good. But he has bearing drift, so that's probably tough to do. Um,
honestly, I think most of his matches were all just him just running his bearing drift and just winning.
yeah,
Like I don't think he really switched to his drift. I think it was all just bearing drift doing it all.
it did all the work. Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure he just like got 5 points with off of just that
Mm.
for the most part. Yeah, like one thing I do. I know technically in the WBO I'm not supposed to do it, but I put the entire deck down rather than just what got the points because that entire deck makes it makes a difference in how their opponent thought
It
on what to
does.
choose.
It
So
does.
I think that is very important to put down. So I always do it, whether or not stuff got a point or not. But only for like the final decks, not like anything that didn't get points beforehand in 3v3 because that doesn't matter. If
Yeah,
it's pick three choose one, I think the entire deck should be listed. I
it
would think
does.
that.
I honestly just do it because once the tournaments are over, people disappear, and will probably have to wait like a week or so for them to respond to me. to see, because if I send a message and be like, hey, did you get a point off of this, or did you win with this and this and that? It's like too much. So I take pictures of it and I put them down. And it is like you said, you make those decisions. It happens with us all. But yesterday, a lot of like you do want to get that first point, and you're looking and you're playing those mind games. Like I saw someone, they had a drift, which I can't remember what it was on, but I remember thinking like that's gonna hard counter two of my combos. So he can run with that, but he's also banking that I'm using two of these combos. So just some, I don't know. I did a whole bunch of in-depth processing, and then it was like, well, is he thinking what I'm thinking or this and that? And then I just made the decision that I made, and we ended up doing a mirror match. Um, and but it worked out. So I agree with you on that. You do need to. I do put all the combos up that were part of their deck because it is a factor in what they and how their opponent is making their choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yesterday there was one other thing. Oh, with the circuit. So I don't know if I shouted it out on the podcast. I know I have went back and forth as far as making it open for Dark Continent or just holding it for the invitations from yesterday. And I guess this is only the second tournament. Well, third, because we had three so far. With the participation and the excitement I got from some of the players, like they were more concerned that they were getting the invitation than anything else. And that's what and I don't take that for granted, and it does make something. So lately, I still don't know 100% what I'm going to do. I think I still want to leave it limited, even if we don't get the 64, because I've had ideas about that. Because at the end of the day, even when I said like, hey, I want people to come and play Beyblade, I think more of my thing was like I don't want to have a $500 cash prize or to try to have this big tournament and only a few people show up. But at the same time, with the effort that people are coming to do these events, or at least from yesterday, what I felt, um, I feel like it will be respectful to them that they put in the time and the energy and the commitment to make it to that big tournament instead of just opening it up to everyone. But I'm gonna I'm gonna think about that. And I did want to shout it out on this for because I talked to Mike about it, a lot, Crisis about it. But if y'all are able to, everyone's listening, put your thoughts and opinions on Dark Continent and getting the invitation and having it invitation only, or opening it up to some other thoughts was like you have to have a certain BR to be able to enter in because I wanted to be competitive. I wanted to be fun. Um, and yesterday, just the skill and the diversity that I saw and what those because Pink Skulls and Beyblade BU, they were able to get their invitation just from where they placed. Um, oh, another thing, when I talked to you about pass downs and you said that you could do the pass downs, how did you interpret that? Because I know I had written something down, but I think I have an idea to make it a lot simpler.
I mean, I just interpret it as like you would pass it down to the other people that were within the top eight, depending on where they got to.
Yeah. Okay. That's what. Because I think that's what I did yesterday.
Like
Because
I wouldn't go anything under the top eight. Like I would just be like just within the top eight. The only thing that I'm unsure about is how would you want to do it in the sense of because you could do one of two things. You could have the top eight, right? And then you have them play the finals. Say in top four, two people already have their invite. Well, the
mhm,
other players that were in top eight, they are all just considered fifth place.
yeah,
Like there's nothing that gives them anything else. You could either make them play for it, or because they were in top eight, you go based on where they were seated from top eight.
yeah. I
Like
think.
if
Go
invite
ahead.
passes down because this guy went undefeated and got first in the first stage, but then lost the first round of finals. Well, he did good throughout that whole day. He probably actually deserves the invite as well,
Yeah,
compared to just he got unlucky in the top cut.
yeah. I agree with you, and I think that's how. Well, that is how I like for it to run because that's what I ended up doing yesterday. Because I know within like the proposal and the document, it says like, yeah, we'll battle it out. So what happened yesterday? We had the top eight, um, and then we had the top four. So within the top four, two of us already had our invitation. So the other two that didn't have it, they got theirs. And then um, for the other people in the top eight, like my son Quincy, he already has his invitation, so he didn't get his. And then Pink Skulls, he would have had to battle it out with the other players, but some things happened. The A seed, they had to battle it out to get into the A seed. Pink Skulls had already, I think he had beat one of them or two of them or whatever. But also Pink Skulls had already left. So once he didn't make top four, like he left with his friend, which is understandable. So we couldn't have the battle. So then I was like, it does make more sense to do what you just said, like to look at the top eight to see where they place that,
Placement.
and then just go from there. So at least they're, even if they didn't do as well in the finals, it does show that they had some skill and diversity, to be able to play, and then it just goes to them. So it
Yeah.
went to Blast. Blast didn't make top four, but he was like ranked number 2 or 3 in the first top eight, and then Pink Skulls.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so like for us, like yeah, like by the time the first set of finals was done, half of those finalists left. They were gone.
yeah, same.
So like it in that aspect there, Geetzer actually went undefeated the whole day and then lost his round one. So he was
Yeah,
first place in Swiss and then lost in the fifth place in the first round of Top Cut. So that would mean with JC being the person that already has his invite,
it
that
would go to
invite would get
Geester.
passed down to Geetzer.
Yep, and that's how it'll work.
Good.
So it's essentially, yeah, Geester. Unless y'all did something yesterday and y'all already,
No,
I
we
don't want
didn't.
to. Yeah,
I couldn't because half the people left. So I was just like, I'll talk to James and figure out what he wants to do. But
yeah,
now,
I like that idea because it shows. I mean, even to go undefeated in any tournament, um, it's a feat into and unto itself, and I get it. Like, yeah, like deck is more strategic and it is a different format and things like that. But to be real, when you come to Dark Continent, you are going to be playing the 3v3, or in future, if we uh, switch it up, it could be single bay or pick three, choose one, and you still have to have that great record, um,
right.
to be able to beat those people. And then you get the deck to where it's a little bit more strategy and skill. So yeah, it was JC already has his, and I'm gonna have to look to see the other three. So yeah, it would go to Geester because I did see that he went undefeated yesterday. Shout out to him for doing that.
You know, the other three didn't have their invite.
Okay.
Spin because this is the first circuit event, so
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know if they'll be able to make it? I know JC and Nightwing will.
the
Um,
the the other one, Spin Zero and Mr. Pokey, I do not know.
okay. All right. It's all
So
good. What I'm thinking, I have some other things. I'm not gonna shout on the podcast right now because I don't want to talk about it and then it not happen and people are hoping for it. Um, but I'm going to be able to get the tournament in such a way that we will have, even if it's not an immense turnout, it'll still be a competitive tournament, that'll be challenging for the bladers that come. Um,
yeah. So what? Real quickly, what I think might be the best option for Dark Continent in general is if you make top four or you get your invite, like you do the invite system. If you get your invite, you make it to where come Dark Continent, you are guaranteed a spot. Like no
yeah.
matter what, you are guaranteed a spot. You still allow it to be like an open tournament, but maybe have it in there that you reserve the right to remove anyone that like has signed up recently, like at the end or whatever, like the last
Hmm.
people to sign up. You reserve the right to remove them for someone that already has their invite that can now make the trip or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
That
there's
is
something
a
like you can do like that. Plus, not to mention, even if you make it an open thing, I just learned this the other day. Even if you make it an open thing where anyone can sign up, you can actually add players to the tournament first.
Yeah,
So
I found that
you
out a little
yeah,
late.
you could
Yeah,
just add everyone that has an invite, and then after that, people can just do like even if someone that has their invite that way, then even someone that had their invite but didn't realize the tournament thread was up and never hit it, and it filled up too quick, they're already in it.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good idea too. That I'll heavily consider. Um, let's see a time. We're going a little bit over time, but I do want to say this. I will go ahead and just spit it out. What I was thinking of lowering the amount of participants. And the reason why I was saying that, because I was thinking about how many tournaments we would be able to push out. Because I'm not trying to kill the organizers being like, hey, we have to do this many, because I'm doing 4, and then there's 2 others scheduled for this year. There was yours that just happened, and then um there's going to be one in Florida, and that's 6 times 6, 36. So then we have to find another
Well, I was
24
thinking
players.
a second one in December,
Yeah,
but
that,
I
that,
just
that go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, that's solid. But I was thinking in terms, because I know some people aren't going to be able to make it. I 100% know that, and that's a given. So what I was thinking is in a sense of wherever I am able to host it at, if the cap was lower, if the cap was higher, but also doing that play-in thing that we talked about, like the night before, for
Oh yeah,
players
the
to
last
come out,
qualifiers.
yeah, that are local. Because if I had the cap at like 36 people could get their invites or something like that, or 24 people can get their invites. And then it's like those 24 people can come, and then we have a play-in for, it could be the top 8 that make it, you know?
That's where definitely though, like if you do that, I think for like Richmond or something is definitely the better location,
That's what
because
I was looking
then
at. Yeah.
yeah, because then like you have enough people from North and South Carolina, maybe even Georgia, that are like, you know what, I'll make that trip, and enough
Yeah.
people from like PA, DC, Maryland, and that are like, you know what, I can make that trip and go down.
Yeah. You come down there, and the tournament will be I do want that play-in tournament though. Anyone that has an invite, I hope they don't get pissed off, but I don't want them to play, because it's pretty much like you're knocking people out at the top 8 that could have been your competition. It's like
Right.
it's kind of pointless at that point. Like I get it, like we all like Beyblade, we want to get some
Well,
BR or whatever, but at the same time, it's like there's no
what
point.
I would do is I would make the last chance qualifier definitely like an invite only thing, to where they have to message you and be like, hey, I can come down for both that day for that event, and if I have my invite, stay for the following event.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine. I would hope so. I hope they're not trying just just for the just to do the last chance qualifier, and then it's, yeah. We'll work some kinks out. We have some time, but
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
yeah, and like I said, if y'all have any input, definitely put it in the comments below, or you can always email us or anything like that for to ask anything. I wanted to did you have anything else, Mike?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. For the final note, I wanted to say we are having a holiday sale. I put a post up, a little reel on Instagram, social media. Sign up for our newsletter. So a lot. We have our store. It's a smaller store. It's not a big deal store. Like I said or have said, I'm a tournament host that also sells Beyblades. Trying to help out with the community with the holiday sale. And I hope to continue to keep doing this in the future. We'll have individual parts for sale. So like with a lot of the sets and stuff, like even the sets that just came out, you don't want to spend $70 on a set. You'll be able to get like the specific Beyblade that you want. We won't have every single part, but if your um bearing dash is wigging out, or something like that, and you want to get a new one without buying the complete set with Perseus, things like that will be available. I try to get some other meta parts. Like most of the stuff that I'll be selling individually will be for the meta, and it'll be on Cyber Saturday. I may run it through the whole weekend. I don't know yet. But sign up for our newsletter so you get the full details on that. It'll be next month. There'll also be like some discount codes, and a lot of the random boosters will be significantly discounted. You just want to buy some bays to collect or to give as Christmas gifts or holiday gifts for your loved ones or family, or even for yourself. Thank you for joining us, Mike. Shout out to shout out to the whole Beyblade community. Continue to get out there, keep having fun, and take care.
Bye.